Welcome, Central Indiana sports fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for my new podcast, Greg and His Friends Talk Sports. I'm your host, Greg Mingelt, and every weekday afternoon, my friends and I are talking about whatever Central Indiana sports fans are talking about. Coming up today, Thursday, April 9, 2026, we have Pacers, transfer portal, and MLB updates. And Tipton Tribune and Elwood call leader, sports editor Michelle Garmon recaps IU shutout win over Butler in softball on Wednesday. And some exciting news to announce. My new friend Griffin Hare joins Michelle and me to preview the Masters on our Thursday conversation. Hope to have Griffin on tomorrow's show to recap day one. And this weekend, Griffin, Michelle, and I are hoping to do Masters recaps on Saturday and Sunday evenings. And if all goes according to plan, Griffin will be back on Monday to recap it. Before we get to all of that, I want to let you know what's going on at the Central Indiana Sports Report. And we've had so much this week. We released an IU report on Tuesday with Grant Schaus and Mike Hutzel. Purdue report with Jake Dunn on Wednesday. And our IndyCar report with Elijah Poe is coming out on Thursday. We also had our Fever report on Sunday talking about the NBA expansion draft. And we'll have one this Sunday talking about the WNBA amateur. And we released our Pacers report on Monday, and we'll have another one this coming Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, my friends, and I'll be back tomorrow. And here's what happened on Wednesday, April 8, 2026. And we start with a little different kind of story. Today, Tyrese Haliburton tweeted Wednesday that he played 5-on-5 basketball for the first time since he tore his Achilles in Game 7 of the 2025 NBA Finals. And on Thursday night, the Pacers can clinch a bottom three finish in the league with a loss in Brooklyn. Pacers and Nets have two of the league's bottom three records, but the Nets are just a game behind the Kings and Jazz after winning their last two. So the lineups will be really interesting. Expect to hear from my friend and our Pacers guy, Mike Rich, on tomorrow's show about Haliburton and the Pacers situation after whatever happens tonight. Alex Bozich and Inside the Hall are reporting that Nick Dorn will be the fifth Indiana Hoosier to enter the transfer portal, joining Jason Drake, Josh Harris, Josiah Miles, and Alexa Ristich, who previously announced their intent to exit Bloomington. Dorn was one of IU's top players last year, averaging 8.1 points and making 38% of his three-point attempts. That's the only major Hoosier player or team to make any significant move in the last 24 hours. And we will have updates on the transfer portal on this show every day as they happen. We, of course, discussed the transfer portal at length on the IU report with Grant and Mike on Tuesday and on the Purdue report with Jake Dunn last night. Some local women's college basketball players in the portal, as Michelle Garmon mentioned on yesterday's show. Bedford's Chloe Spreen and Indian Creek's Faith Wiseman are leaving IU. And Hamilton Heights grad Cameron Runner is reportedly leaving Evansville. And it's also reported that Jayla Lampley from Lawrence Central is leaving Mississippi State. And IU has landed its first commitment out of the portal. It's Elisa Williams, who recently played at Iowa State and LSU. In Major League Baseball on Wednesday, the Reds' 6-game winning streak came to an end with a 7-4 loss in Miami, but the Brewers lost 5-0 in Boston. So Cincinnati and Milwaukee are tied atop the NL Central. Also in the NL Central, Nico Horner homered, scored twice, and drove in two in the Cubs' 6-2 win in Tampa. Jordan Walker hit his fifth home run in the Cardinals' 6-1 win over the Nationals. And Pittsburgh lost to the Padres 8-2. The Pirates on Wednesday signed 19-year-old prospect Connor Griffin to a 9-year, $140 million deal. Also in the majors on Wednesday in a World Series rematch, the Blue Jays beat the Dodgers 4-3 to avoid a sweep. In local college softball, Westfield's Avery Parker and the Indiana Hoosiers defeated Frankton's Makena Alexander and the Butler Bulldogs 9-0 on Tuesday. Here's Tipton Tribune and Elwood call leader sports editor Michelle Garmon with a report. Michelle, big win for IU.
I was. They won 9-0 in 6 innings. That's a run rule for college, but the game was closer than the final score indicates. IU scored its first run on a Hannah Haberstroh solo home run in the second. And then they got 4 runs in the in the third inning to go up 5-0, and then they closed it out with 4 runs in the bottom of the sixth. Avery Parker hit a walk-off three-run home run.
Nice.
Which is tied her with the career record of home runs with Taylor Minnick. I believe it's 46 career home runs. So her next home run will be a new career home run record at Indiana, and she's in a really good company with Taylor Minnick.
That's right, and she's from Westfield, right?
Yes, she is.
So you've been familiar with her for a little while.
I actually got to see her play in high school once or twice. She was 2 for 3 on the day. Haberstroh was 2 for 3 also, and she ended up with 4 RBIs because she had that solo home run, and then she also had a big double that plated 2 or 3, I think 3 more runs. I use hits and runs kind of came in bunches. I think that's good because I think that's a tribute to how improved Butler is getting every year. They've got some solid pitching now, and I think that's one of the reasons they're up at the top and challenging for the Big East regular season championship. Indiana, meanwhile, this was a big win for them in that they are coming off a weekend series where out in California where they got swept by UCLA. But the one thing is that IU should take some solace in with the UCLA 3-game series. There's only one game. UCLA beat them 7-2. That was their worst defeat. So I use kind of closing the gap as far as playing with the elite softball teams. And they have a big series coming up this weekend. They host Purdue for a 3-game series, while Butler is going to be at home again, hosting UConn in a 3-game Big East series. Frankton graduate former standout Makena Alexander went 0 for 2 today. She struck out in the first inning, and then she drew a walk, and then she grounded out. And it was a really nice defensive play by IU's second baseman who went behind the bag to field the ball and then threw Makena out.
She went 0 for 2. She's still leading the Big East in batting average, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, RBIs, and is second in home runs.
She's one of the very select few that is slugging over 1,000 this spring, and this deep into the season. Butler only had 3 hits themselves. Alona Boydston had 2 of them, and Olivia Roberts had the other one. I think for Butler, I know they're going to hate it because it's a loss, and 9-0, 6 innings looks bad, but it really wasn't bad. Butler, they should take some confidence from this, even though it was a loss. You're talking about a loss to a team in Indiana that Shonda Stanton has had her team in the postseason tournament for the last 3 seasons. So, and very easily could do that again this year.
Thanks, Michelle. We will hear from Michelle again a little later, along with Griffin Hare on our Thursday conversation previewing the Masters. Defending NBA champion Oklahoma City clinched the top seed in the West with a 128-110 win over the Clippers in Los Angeles. And Cade Cunningham and the Pistons will be the top seed in the East, with the Celtics being the second seed. And the 20 teams that will participate in the postseason are all set, but the 3 through 5 seeds in the West between the Nuggets, Lakers, and Rockets still up in the air. And in the East, seeds 5 through 10 are separated by just 3.5 games. The Hawks and Raptors, as of now, wouldn't have to play in the playoff game, but the Magic, Sixers, and Hornets are all within striking distance of a safe top 6 spot and avoid the play-in. We'll have tons of NBA playoff talk on this show every weekday starting next week and on the Central Indiana Sports Report Network. A couple of news and notes. Just 2 days after parting with Austin Parkinson, Butler has hired former Purdue Fort Wayne head coach Maria Marchesano as its new women's basketball head coach. And Westfield tight end Caden Snow tweeted Wednesday that he's received an offer to continue his football career at Texas A&M, just a sophomore. And Noblesville Jr. offensive tackle Caleb Johnson attended spring practice at Illinois. The Indy Star is reporting that Prima Racing is searching for new investors and hopes to continue in IndyCar. Our IndyCar report with Elijah Poe is coming up later this evening. And here's what's coming up on Thursday, April 9, 2026. The Indy Ignite of the Pro Women's Volleyball MLV League are back in action tonight in San Diego after the All-Star break. The Ignite are atop the league standings at 16-4, a game ahead of the Dallas Pulse for the best record in the league. The Ignite and Mojo tonight start at 10 o'clock and can be seen on the CBS Sports Network. San Diego is 10-10, tied in third place with the Omaha Supernovas. Hope to have my friend and Ignite PA announcer Aaron Pittman on the show next week to talk about the Ignite. And the Masters is underway this morning in what appears to be a wide open and competitive 90th Masters field. As of noon on Thursday, Kurt Kitayama leads at 4 under through 10 holes. On Wednesday evening, I spoke with my new friend Griffin Hare, a Tipton native, a recent Ball State grad, and now a golf pro at Highland Golf Course in Indianapolis, along with Michelle Garmon, to preview the biggest golf event in the world. Yeah, I said it. You can suck it, Britain. For our Thursday conversation, sorry there were some audio issues. We had some technical difficulties on Riverside, so there's some over-talking, and I had to cut a little bit of the conversation, unfortunately. But please bear with it. I promise you it'll be worth it. Joined by Griffin Hare here on Greg and his Friends Talk Sports to talk a little Masters. And Griffin, before we get to the Masters, this is your debut on the podcast. Please let everybody know your background and what you're doing now. Of course, we're joined by Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood. Griffin and Michelle are quite familiar with each other, so I'm going to let her take over. But the first thing I want
and then went to Ball
Griffin
State,
Hare of Masters
graduated last May.
What's the top storyline? You got Roy being
now
the
an assistant golf
returning
champion,
Scotty Scheffler being the betting favorite despite a little struggle. You got John Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau coming in. Just tons of storylines despite Tiger Woods not being there.
That's a great question. I actually saw that question popping up on a lot of sports media today. I would say for me, the biggest takeaway and the biggest storyline of this year's event is how wide open it is. I feel like in the last 2 to 3 years, it's been pretty clear. And then there, with like a betting favorite or a guy that's been really hot, obviously Rory's dealt with some injuries the last couple weeks. Scotty Scheffler just had a kid and hasn't played for a couple
Griffin,
weeks.
You did mention
so there's a lot of question marks at the top from the guys that are at the top of the favorites. So I would say just how wide open this golf tournament is. I think there's 20 to 25 guys that typically in the majors you're looking at the guy at the top of the world.
These pros
but this year it just feels like
the majors.
A couple more names.
What makes a
that
tournament
can win
like
this golf
that
tournament.
more nerve-wracking or adrenaline pumping than your regular weekly golf tournament that the pros play? And I know there's greater emphasis on the majors.
No doubt. That's a great question. You can kind of sense it once you first get on property. Like you mentioned, I played in one U.S. Junior and one U.S. Amateur. And when I stepped on property for those events, USGA does such a good job conducting their events, and it makes you feel like you're a tour player almost, and the amateur and junior levels. So I can't imagine what those guys feel. They're at the best golf course in the world, arguably.
So Griffin, I believe your mom and dad have
in the world,
gone
and
to the Masters. Have you been
I'm
able
sure
to go to the Masters?
their blood's flowing.
Okay, Griffin,
Do it.
have you had the chance to go to the Masters, Augusta, and watch even a practice round or the par 3 tournament or anything?
My dad's been in the lottery for over 25 years and never got the opportunity to go. Definitely a lifelong bucket list thing to go there. But luckily, being in the golf business, once you become a PGA member,
real fast, guys,
you can go to any golf tournament.
You guys
so that's the goal. Once I become a PGA member, hopefully in the next couple
because I think
years,
your audio is
I will
a
hopefully be going to Augusta, Georgia in April.
Griffin, what do you think makes Augusta so special and so difficult?
But you can answer that question in a lot of different ways. In my experience watching it on TV, I think the Sunday hole locations is when the golf course is scoreable. They put the pins kind of in feeder spots where you can feed the ball with the slopes to get it close to the hole. But the first 3 days typically play pretty hard, depending on how much wind they have and the firmness of the greens. This week, it looks like they're not going to have any rain in the forecast. So we're going to have a hard and crunchy golf course. So I don't see the scores getting above, 10 to 12 under winning score. But Amen Corner, in my, history of watching the golf tournament, I would say is where somebody wins or loses the tournament on Sunday. 11 is one of the most demanding par fours in golf. 12, everybody knows about number 12. It's, you can hit a great shot and have a really good opportunity to make birdie, or you're down in the water swimming and you're looking at making double or triple bogey. And then 13 is arguably one of the best par fives in golf.
All right, do you have a pick or a pick or two heading into
that
today's
stretch obviously
first round?
Goes a long way in determining who wins the Masters, but it honestly depends a lot on what the wind's doing and how much wind they're going to get, and the firmness of the greens typically is where you see the most difficult part of the golf course year in, year out.
Griffin, Michelle, do you have a pick?
My pick this week would be Xander Schauffele. And the reason I'm picking Xander is kind of what I talked about my first question there when you were like, what's the biggest storyline? I don't think it's a Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm. Xander is obviously a top 10 player of the world, big name, but I think it's a lot more wide open. Xander was hurt last year after the year before he won 2 majors. He's got a really good record at Augusta National, and I feel like you have to know the golf course and you got to play there quite a bit to have that experience to be able to get it done. So I'm going to go a little bit more under the radar. I know it's a popular pick among a lot of people, but I really do like Xander Schauffele.
I wouldn't be surprised if Scotty Scheffler ended up with another green jacket. He's one guy, I think, who can be away from the game and come back and just maybe be a little bit better than what he was when he took a break for the birth of his child or whatever. Kind of gives him away from all the media scrutiny and everything, and a reset.
Michelle, that's a really interesting point. Scotty has not played in 3 weeks. I read a stat this week that it's been a long time since there was a Masters winner that has, when they take more than 1 week off, typically the top of the world that haven't played in 2 to 3 weeks. Another guy's Rory, and then you have Bryson and John Rahm. But how much do we actually watch those guys because they play on Live Golf? So that's always a little bit of a question mark.
And coming up tomorrow, more Masters and Pacers Nets, any transfer portal news involving Indiana players or teams, and we'll look ahead to a busy and important sports weekend. Thanks for joining us. Thanks so much to Michelle, as always, and to Griffin for joining me, and to you for listening. Don't forget, my friends and I will be back tomorrow. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love you, Susie.